Hello everyone, my name is TJ and welcome to my LEGO room. Today I'm pretty excited because not only are we going to be jumping into a new mock that I have created, but it's also going to be helping to fill out the Mynock squadron. After we had the Mynock 3 contest, I know a lot of you were asking about how we were going to fill out the rest of the squadron and how big the squadron may be. I actually decided, based on the new video game Star Wars Squadrons, that there were 5 members of each squadron that all participated together, and so I thought the Mynock squadron would also be a set of 5 fighters. So what we're going to be doing today is introducing Mynock 4 and the story behind it. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So this is Mynock 4. Now you'll notice that it has some similarities to some of the other members of Mynock Squadron, one of them in particular, and there's a very good reason for that, and that's because this particular ship is flown by Mynock leader's son. Now, why did I decide that it was going to be Mynock leader's son? Well, it's because this ship was designed by a couple of fans and combining their 2 ships together. And those 2 fans are Ben Domini on Instagram and Ben Wright, my son. And his entry into the Mynock 3 contest, which actually was very similar to what we see, what I'll show you from Ben Domini and his particular build. Now, what I'm hoping to do is we're going to go over some of the designs here. We're going to show you some of the details and why I decided to do that. But then at the end, we're going to jump into the story behind it and the son of Cade Orem, Cade Orem. So, first things first, let's go ahead and do what we did with Mynock 1 Squadron. We're going to go jump in and zoom in. We're going to go piece by piece and show you the different parts of the build. Okay, so firstly, the front. Now this ship is based on an X-Wing, and that'll be shown in the story as well. And this X-Wing does have some little fins at the front, as little extra deflectors, and that's for a couple of different reasons. Number one is it reminisces a little bit about Mynock 1, having those front-forward vanes, like the speeder vanes that are on the front of it, and they're a little bit of a deflector to help protect the rest of the ship from incoming laser fire, and it would divert those laser beams. That's why I was flashing my hands like that. Sometimes I get ahead of it in my head. But also, if we pull back just a little bit, you can see that it's got a couple of cannons right at the front, and those deflectors also help make sure that when it's coming from behind, that those laser cannons don't accidentally hit the front nose of the ship, because they are really close to the center. For the most part, the front of the ship is pretty solid. It does have a few extra little greebles on the side, these little gold pieces here. And then there's actually a little step right here that my son Ben put into the design. And that was a little step for the minifigure to grab onto and be able to climb up on and get into the ship, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. It is not shared on the other side, so it's definitely put there by the pilot as the normal way to get inside the ship. As we come back here, you'll see that it does not have a traditional X-Wing cockpit, but actually goes with an A-Wing cockpit or a Z95 cockpit here. Now this was actually designed straight from Ben Domini on Instagram, and I thought it was a fantastic cockpit, and it looked a little bit different and gave the Mynock Squadron a little bit more of a diverse cockpit scenario. As it sits right now, we basically only have 2 different cockpit pieces. We either have this one on the Mynock 5 and now Mynock 4, and we also have the X-Wing cockpit windscreen pieces on Mynock 1 and Mynock 3. So, well, we're not diversifying the windscreens that much, but that's okay. I didn't want all of them to end up being X-Wing cockpits. I also wanted to make it a little cheaper for everybody out there to be able to build it when I get the instructions out. I did want to show this as quick as possible because we have the rest of the year planned as far as videos. So the instructions are not up as of the posting of this video, but they will be up as soon as I can. And I anticipate that will probably be within the next 2 weeks easy. So, all right, we'll move back just a little bit. We've got this awesome astromech droid slot, which was also the exact droid that was used by Ben Domini on his ship, which I'm pretty happy about. As we move back, we have these Y-wing engines that are fit onto the ship, and some fins on top of those Y-wings to help a little bit with some stability, which honestly, I don't know if they really serve a huge purpose in the universe, but I think they looked pretty cool, and they helped expand the ship's visual profile, which I appreciated. As far as being part of Mynock Squadron, you may be looking at it and saying, hey, there's no open panels or anything like that, and that's because it's on the other side. So if we look over here, we'll take this fin off, but we actually have a ton of greebles. This was actually the exact engine from my son, Ben, for his Mynock 3 entry. I ended up using the engines directly off of his build and putting them onto here. I thought they were absolutely fantastic, as well as the winglets and the X-Wing S-foils that we have on here as well. But that inside is just so greebly. Like, I've never even done something that's that insane before, and it looks so good. I ended up not even touching it because I'm like, you know what? It looks fantastic, and I not only do I not want to mess it up, but I also think I might end up breaking it. I think one of the pieces already cracked in there as well because I was messing with it. So we're just gonna leave that the way it is, and I don't think that's a bad thing, honestly. All right. So on the back of the ship, we can see that we have the back end of the Y-wing engines and then a large center engine. This is both inspired by Mynock 1 and by Ben Domini, who included that in his build as well. I'm trying to figure out when to throw up Ben Domini's pictures for you, and I'm not 100% sure when that's going to be, but we're definitely going to show you those. As well as possibly a comparison with my Ben's build. Now these winglets, the S-foils here, are in universe supposed to be from an X-wing, but they are locked in attack position, and it's only the top half of the wing, so we have an upward swoop to the S-foils and the wings going out to the cannons. The cannons also are X-wing styled, and I did extend them just a little bit. I've seen a lot of people use the flick fire missiles on the official set that recently came out to make it a little bit better. I ended up doing it a little different because these were in black instead of the light bluish gray like all flick fire missiles are. So it didn't quite work when I had it on there, but by throwing some Technic pins on the front and then sliding that dish all the way forward, it ended up working really well and giving us that extended look that I really enjoyed on the modified X-Wings from earlier this year. As well as that open section on the back, I guess I totally kind of spaced the fact that the domes that normally sit on top of this, the front sections of the engines are also missing and greebled up, and so those are another part of the Mynock Squadron thing. I was just excited to show you the exposed engine. So we've got that guy there. It does not have landing gear because it's now become an official tradition that your ship can't have landing gear if it's in the Mynock Squadron. But I did go a little bit further and included some skids on the bottom that the ship can land on. We've got these upside down tiles here. Sorry about the focus. And they actually do contact the ground first before any other part of the ship, so it does actually land quite well and quite easily down below. All right, let's pop out here for a second. All right, so again, I apologize. I do not have the instructions ready right now. However, I have started them. I'm working on them, and hopefully I'll have a little bit more time in the coming weeks. I ended up taking some time off last weekend, being on a family vacation with some extended family as well, and we ended up just playing the whole time and having a great old time, so I appreciate it. I have a couple of videos coming out for the patrons very quickly here, showing off some of the stuff that we worked on and some of the cool stuff that we did as far as my Lego channel, so it's pretty exciting. I'd taken the time off, but I still ended up working on it. All right, now for those of you who wanted to stick around and listen to the story of the pilot, Cade Orem, as Mynock Squadron grew past the original Mynock 1, 2, and 3, Cade's son Grieg had made a name for himself in the Rebel Alliance. Several missions into his stellar service, Grieg had been assigned to Green Squadron after it was reformed after the Battle of Yavin, and was involved at a significant battle for Green Squadron, which was the battle at Elessla under Share Bey, the commander of Green Squadron at the time. Now, this is between Episode 4 and Episode 6. Don't really know exactly when. I'm not ready to pin down exactly when this happened, but it was during the Rebel Alliance. So the battle at Elessla was when Home 1 was pinned down by some Imperial forces. Grieg and his ship were damaged in the battle. He was flying an X-Wing at the time. And he ended up crash landing back on Home 1, barely surviving. Grieg now has a robotic leg due to his own leg being dismembered in the crash, and the whole bottom half of his ship was destroyed, which, for those of you paying attention, will inform why only the top S-foils of the ship are on it. After recuperating aboard Home 1, Grieg woke to find his father, the renowned pilot Cade Orem, by his bedside. A dedicated, loving father, Cade had been Grieg's example his whole life. As soon as he was able, Grieg had joined up and learned the skills necessary to become an invaluable member of the Rebel Alliance starfighter corps. Grieg had tried to enter Mynock Squadron before with the support of its other two members, Mynock 2 and 3, while his father said he couldn't because his ship was too nice. It actually had more to do with the level of danger that Mynock Squadron tended to be sent into. However, after the Battle of Elessla, it was now that Cade realized his previous fears for his son joining his squadron were kind of moot. He'd rather have him by his side when the danger came rather than off somewhere else in the galaxy. Plus, Grieg's ship looked like garbage now, so what excuse was there? Cade ended up helping his son salvage what was left of his ship and rebuilt it into what became Mynock 4. The design of the ship was done by Grieg for the most part, with many callbacks to Cade's Z-105. He kept the X-Wing's S-foils, which weren't completely destroyed, though the mechanisms were severely damaged, as well as the nose and main parts of the body. The engines were repurposed. Oh, sorry, not these engines, but the engines from his crashed X-Wing were repurposed and used to fix other X-Wings. So Grieg got a hold of some Y-Wing engines and added them. At first, the ship kept the entire full engines, but maneuverability suffered at the benefit of speed. Now, this is where a really fun story comes and why we only have partial bars on the back and why they're not even. If you look at it, they are not evenly spaced. They don't come off even. And that actual idea came from somebody I met over at Brick Slopes 2021. His name is Darren, and I believe he works at Bricks and Minifigs down in Orem, Utah, actually, or it could be Provo. But after landing on one frustrating day of tests, Grieg just lost it, and he took a cutting torch to the pylons that went to the rear thrust vanes and just chopped them off right there. And because he didn't actually measure it out first, it left his ship with a, let's say, unique profile. So basically what he did is he couldn't get his ship to make the turns that he wanted it to, and he really felt like those thrust vanes at the back were the problem. So he took a cutting torch and he just went out and just eyeballed it and ended up cutting them and totally messed it up. They aren't even at all. But interestingly enough, it worked quite well, and the ship gained a fair amount of maneuverability. So he ended up adding that third giant thruster inspired by his father's ship. Now, this is a different version of the thruster than his father had. This thruster, again, was designed by Ben Dominy on Instagram, but he in the Mynock 1 video, I had mentioned that not a lot of ships were able to do this because the Rebel Alliance had such a large volume of requests for people who wanted to do that to their X-Wings that they basically stopped being able to do it. Of course, Cade had his connections and was able to salvage a larger engine that would work for his son's ship, and it works both as like a rapid escape ship or a rapid attack craft for hit and run kind of stuff. Yay. Now, I don't really have an ending for the story of Cade Orem and his father, but the reason for that is because it's not over yet. Now, while I mentioned Mynock 2 in today's video, many of you know that there isn't actually a Mynock 2 yet, and we have no idea what it looks like. Well, you don't have any idea what it looks like. With that, I hope you enjoyed this peek into Mynock 4. Again, the instructions are not out yet. I apologize, but they should be out in the next couple of weeks. If you actually follow me or like me on rebrickable.com, you'll be notified the day of or within 24 hours of me uploading a new set of instructions. So I'd recommend you head over there and do that if you're looking for an exact time. I'll also have it in an announcement in a video of some kind. But also, if you've watched this long, I'm sure you don't need a reminder, but we do have the end of the second phase of the NASCAR and Star Wars contest, the Gallagher Racing contest. The cluster repulsor lift section is ending in 1 week from today, on Friday night at midnight, and then I will upload all of the pictures and images along with the voting instructions. And for the next week, we'll vote. And of course, at the same time, next Saturday, a week from today, we will also be kicking off the beginning of the third phase of the contest, which is going to be about the array-style repulsor lifts. And that I'm actually really excited about because that was one of the first ones I ever came up with. So I'm pretty excited to see what you guys come up with as well. And that's it. Thank you so much for checking out my Lego room. Once again, I am TJ, and until we see you next time, play well. Bye.